All right, welcome to this edition of B2B Tech Talks. With me is Marek and Matej, who are, one of them is a CEO of Allfred, and the second one is COO of Allfred, a B2B SaaS tool that is specific for creative agencies and other agencies of all type, actually. Guys, both of you worked in a creative agency before, and then you started a technical SaaS tool. Marek, you've started a couple of SaaS tools yourself. Could you tell me your experience in creative agency? Like, what did you do there? How did you exit? Like, you started a small one, your friend, and then you had 100 employees eventually. Can you talk about your start?
Yeah, thank you, Martin. First of all, thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure for me. My story, in a short, I started an agency with my partner being in the university, like two computer science students. And fast forward 5 years ago, we were like 50, and 10 years ago, we were a 100 people agency. And at that moment, I realized that being the CEO of the agency and going through all the roles from account manager to CEO, I realized that I love more building and changing how agency works from inside than the product itself. So I started making tools to make agencies work better. One of them is Contentino, used by thousands of agencies like globally. And my last attempt to change the agency world from inside is Allfred, which actually combines project management and finance into one tool, and which I'm very happy to have Matej with me because he has great experience in account manager stuff, which is actually the hardest work in agency from my perspective.
Thank you for admitting that. And thank you for being here. It's kind of pleasure. And thank you.
All right. Your experience as an account manager in a creative agency, how does that, what were your biggest issues, and what do you see that you're solving currently in a technological way?
Well, to be totally honest, to be account manager is really, really hard because you have to think on a lot of things, and it's really variable, and it's very easy to make a step back or something to make something wrong. So you have to think on a lot of things, and you have to remember on everything. And I found the value in Allfred because it concentrated information in one place. And when something happened on the path, on the project management, or on something when you are processing the project, it will automatically notify you about these circumstances, and you can react on that. So it's kind of really good, and also it's really simple to use the budgeting or other features which helps to eliminate the administration process for account managers. It's kind of heavy. Because as an account manager, you have to be able to create the budget, you have to process the project, you have to plan the resources, you have to set up the task, you have to also assign the expenses, you have to create invoices. And you have a lot of different areas you have to think about. And in Allfred, it concentrates information in one place. And that's like a really handy thing, I think.
All right. Marek, you handed over your agency, so you're not a managing part of the operations team. How did you succeed in this? What tips would you give on achieving this success?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have people around that I was able to hand over the agency to, actually, which is the most important thing. And I think this is understandable by everybody. But what made it doable was that we were building operations and systems in the agency from day one. Like time tracking for creatives, it's every time when I speak with agency CEOs and I touch this topic, like everybody starts laughing. Like creatives won't do time tracking, and we hadn't had this problem in our agency ever because we were starting time tracking when we were two, and the third person coming to the agency at the very beginning, he just had to do it. So. And if you build your agency on such foundations and you have systems and processes built in from day one, it just is much easier to hand over a well-working agency than handing over something that's getting broke every second day. So it, like, I would say there's two things: great people and great operation in the agency.
You think the operations part is primarily help with tools, or is it the mindset, or a combination?
There is a framework like people, process, and technology, and I think you have to nail all of those three to be able to be sure that it's working. So first, the right people. Secondly, the process. There have to be great processes in terms of understanding and like knowing what have to be done. But the last thing is you have to have the technology that supports both of the things. And once you don't have this, and especially in these days, you have to be technology savvy to really leverage the things, because the profit margins are going down. Clients are asking for lower prices. Like, everything is, the agencies, from my perspective, are being squeezed from all sides. Wages are going up, rates aren't going up. So the only place where I think where agency can make a profit would be optimizing for efficiency. And I think you aren't able to do this without the proper tools.
And also there is something else, because the pace in creative industry is getting faster than it used to. And it's much faster, you have to react much faster. The workflow, it doesn't usually take the ideation process 2 weeks, but now it's only we can count in on days. You have to react on that. You have to create a campaign in 2 days probably or something. You have to react really quickly. And you need the tools or some simplifiers which will help you to deliver this one campaign as fast as you can. And also to be profitable. We have got the AI here, we have got other tools, and we are in an era where you currently using several tools to simplify the workflow. So that's the reason why you have to, in some way, you have to be a technical guy or person who needs to use these tools. Otherwise, you are going to die on the end. Because you will be slow. And we are slow, you can deliver that to your client.
All right. When you're talking to clients on demo calls, or when you're in a sales call with them, what features of Allfred do you think are most beneficial to them? Or there's probably a difference between what you think that would help them most, but they don't understand, and there are things that they value right away. Where do you see this, or what is the balance there?
Well, I'll put it this way. In Allfred, they can connect. We have got several roles. We can get around with several people in one place. There's a reason there is a different value for account manager, and also there is different value for creatives, for financiers, and so on. So I would say that for account managers, it's beneficial to have a budgeting. It's very cool. It's really simple to use. You can start it straight away. And also it helps you to centralize the information about the budget in one place. And by one click, you can create a project which is well connected to the budget, so you won't forget what was included there. You don't have to create the structure of the project. You can start processing something else. You can start planning your resourcing whatsoever. So for account managers, if you are trying to find a trigger how to start with Allfred, budget it is. So you can try it. For creatives, it's really simple board where you can find, all right, what should you do today? And when, in what prioritize, in what list, where are my assignments, where are my tasks? You can find it all in one place. And also, so I would say this. And also there is a very simple time tracking, but I'm not going to talk about it because creators doesn't like to track the time.
Of course.
So, and for financiers, well, financiers and managing directors needs data, and they need the structure. It has to be multiplied for every project. It has to be same. So for financial and managing directors, there is this value that the structure is tailor-made for creative industry. There is OCR, which means that we extract the document from expenses. You don't have to fill the form manually, which is really helpful. You can assign the expense to several projects, which are also helpful for financials. And then you can, for managing directors, from this perspective, you are able to say the profitability of each project. So it's very helpful. It's not like an accounting software, another tool, but you have got it on one place. So if I will recap it just shortly, account managers identify the value in budgeting and in the projects. Creatives found the value in resources and the task management, and the financials and the expenses, and keeping the company on track.
You would say that most benefits is for the account managers.
Yeah, I would say that the account managers are like underdogs in the creative industry because they are behind everything. And I don't want to forget about them. They have to take care about the process and the background. They're trying to process the expenses invoicing, as I already said that. So I assume that yes, it's real helper to help. Allfred is a real helper for, I would call it butler for them. So they can take care about other things on the process which are not visible that much. So you as a account manager, you have got the backup where you can rely on.
I mean, on this topic, from my perspective, when you grow out of an agency, you don't realize how complicated is it to be an account manager. And the thing is, they are so underrated. And I realized this even more when I stepped out of the agency and I was asking VC capitalists for money for Allfred, and I was trying to explain them how the agency workflow and life works. And that's the moment when I realized that the agency is actually built around the account manager. He's taking care of the client, of the project, of the money, of the process, of like everything. So if the account manager wouldn't be there, the agency wouldn't be running. And there are tools to support the financial people. There are tools to support the creative people. But there aren't specific tools to support the work of the most important part of the agency, which is the account manager process.
Yeah. As an account manager, it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard to communicate with the clients. You probably know that. And to think on how to communicate, what you should reply on, and then you have to find the information you need about the project, and you have to look for from different tools. It's really hard. Now you have got to concentrate on the one place, which is really helpful, because now you can have your client on the phone and can just scroll, find the information. That's it. You don't have to be in stress that much.
All right. What do you think are the biggest issues that creative agencies face? What are the biggest problems that they have, and potentially Allfred would be a solution to it?
Yes, Allfred might be a solution for those, but the idea is talking with all those agency people in the last couple of years. Like, everybody had different problems, but there are three that I heard from everybody, and those are problems are identified too late. And it's, as for the pace of the agency and everything, it's such a fast industry. Second thing would be time tracking with creatives. Every time I just lay this on the table, people are smiling on those because it's like in every agency, absolutely. And it seems to be an unsolvable problem. And the third one would be, and this is what Matej mentioned, like the fragmentation of the data to really get an understanding. Because agencies are a little bit different in any other companies, and they sell services as well as products. And not many agencies realize this, that when they are buying media or production and selling with commission, they are just selling stuff, but they're also selling services and work. And if you would be using a general system, project management tool like Asana, they only cover the work part, the services part, quite well. Actually, the project management, as well as time tracking like that, this is something that they handle pretty well. But you might have a client that you are a zero profit on work, but you made a hell of a money on buying and selling stuff for them, like production. And if you would only make your decision based on the data from the work, you would get rid of the client, but you shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. All right. You're essentially selling to the CEOs at the end of the day. They're the main decision makers.
Yeah, they are decision makers.
How do you explain to them the benefits? They sometimes don't see the value that the account managers, the finance people, or the creatives give. What is the trigger typically that gives them, okay, this is something we need? Is this from bottom up, or they understand this intrinsically?
I think that I don't have to explain everything to the C level, to the managing directors. They do understand their struggles. They do understand the pains. They know them well. But from my perspective, when I talk to the managing directors or CEOs or to this level of managers, it is that they cannot find the percentage of the utilization, for example, or they cannot tell if they're profitable on this project, on this client, and what kind of share do they have on this client, if it's worthwhile to continue in these cooperations with this client. They don't know. And that's the reason why you have got this in Allfred, and you can find this information very quickly. And you don't have to rely on an accounting software. You don't have to rely on until some integration will come and you will upload some information to another software where it's going to be processed, and then you will find out. So for CEO, for C-suite, it's very valuable to find the percentage of utilization and also what from this utilization is billable, if it's billable, even though. So that's a good point, but the process behind is that not every time I will get straight to the C-level. Sometimes the door opener, I would call, are the account managers or the creatives, because they don't like the process. They would want to simplify something. They're trying for a different solution.
Actually, it's those people who have the pains and who feel the pains
Yep.
so pressing. They like seeing the product, some parts of it. It just make them relieve. Yes, I would love to have this. And when Matej is speaking to the CEOs, he's already like half bought in by those people who process us to that level.
Yeah. So, but it depends. It depends on how the big team the team is big, because when it's a small team, then of course the managing director is also a CEO or the owner. So it's kind of very straight that I'm going to talk to him or to them. But if it's a bigger agency, such as Word of Online, such as, I don't know, the Triad in Czech Republic, such as the Milk in Lithuania, whatsoever, they consist of the 40 people, which is kind of big. And this process, it usually takes 1 month until I get to the C-level, because they have to approve Allfred from each department. Account managers have to approve it. The creatives have to approve it. Then the financials have to approve it. And then, all right, let's talk to the big guy who has got a credit card. Mm-hmm. And then then the owner and the C-level has to approve it. That, all right, it makes sense.
All right. It seems like the biggest benefit of using Allfred is for the CEO and both the account manager. It's control.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So yes, look, it depends on the account managers, because you have to work with the tool. If you don't work with it, you don't have the data, you don't have the information. But in Allfred, we are trying to simplify the process to work with it, to fill the data in, and then it's much easier to get on board for all team to use it, to have it. So the managing director and who else is in the background needs the data for evaluation or whatsoever. So it's really simple to fill the data and then process it with it. Yes.
I mean, from my perspective, the biggest value would be, it's definitely control and visibility. In terms of control, from my perspective, it actually is control for the agency processes and the finances, and a visibility through the whole process. And what does control mean? Mine sounds like control freak, but it actually gives you the tools for you, like the certainty that the agency is running like you set it up. Because this is something that is causing most of the founders of agency, and I know it off by heart, my own experience, the biggest problems that you set something up, and if you don't watch over this for a certain period of time, the process just fades away. And if you have something or some tools to support that you are sure that things are done the way you like them to be done, you can be sure that it's working good. This actually gives you the ability to hand over the agency or maybe step a little bit back and do the things you like to do, because you don't have to always keep on checking whether everything is in check as you would like to have it.
Okay. All right. One of the benefits of Allfred is also capacity planning, which for agencies is quite an issue. I would say many people don't do it because they don't know how. How important do you think is capacity planning, and how do you solve this?
It actually is one of the things that agency don't think is the biggest struggle. So when we start to speaking with agencies, they think the problem is somewhere else. But once we ask second and third time a why question, we always come to where it starts, and it is actually capacity planning. When done correctly, people know what to do, when to do, and they do it on time. When done incorrectly, you don't meet deadlines. People work late night. They waste their capacity. I mean, like an example, if a creative would come into work, and when he knows what to do and has the assignment, he works right away. If he comes to work and he waits like 30 minutes to get an assignment, you just wasted 10% of his capacity. And I'm not sure about any other agencies, but the profit margin of agencies, like the profit at the end, would be somewhere around 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy just wasted all your profit on that day. And if he gets planned and you do this correctly, you're able to make a decent profit and stay profitable. And this is in those days gets even harder than before, because all the inefficiencies that you were able to cover by any kind of resources in the past, you aren't able to cover those today. So you have to be absolutely efficient to stay in the business.
Mm-hmm. How important do you think capacity planning for not burning out creatives?
It's like the main thing, because it's very important. Obviously, I talked to several, probably around 300 agencies last year. And what was mind-blowing for me was that they mentioned that they need more project management instead of the finance management, which was like, you do need to take care about the finance? No, we do, but we take care more about our people. So, and what is the twist is that they use Excel for planning. It is like, doesn't make sense. So some of them are using the other tools, but I'm not going to name it today. But it was really tricky that how they do it, because there are some issues how you can plan your capacities. You can plan the capacities for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. If you plan your 8 hours, great job, you are burning out your team soon. I guarantee that. But I think that is the main thing, how to avoid the burnouts in your team, because then you can see if you are overplanning someone, if you work on what are you working on actually, because I can tell what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you need some backup, which would tell you that, all right, you were working on these things, and you were working on these things last month, and you know exactly what were you doing and where you're heading to, and if you are fulfilling everything which supposed to be done to deliver the project on the deadline, which is kind of tense.
I mean, capacity planning done right means less late work, less stress for the creatives, means because they know what they will be doing. It means you can hire extra capacities because you know then the next week I will have too much work for my team, and you can hire it today and have it next week with freelancers. Mm-hmm. If you realize the very day that you are losing capacity, you have to ask your internal people to do it. If you ask them every day, there is big chance, like in 2 months, they will hand over their resignation, and you will have to hire new ones. So you have less time caring about the people because you are hiring new ones, and you're just making the vicious cycle of new people. And this actually is, I think, one of the biggest problems in agencies, like hiring good people. And if you have those people and you are not taking care of them and they are losing, you will be losing as the agency. And the biggest benefit of capacity planning done right from my perspective is that if you plan capacity right, this means that you can also do time tracking right, which is actually the biggest problem that agencies name, like top 3. Because once you know what you should be doing, if you are a creative, and you can like, in Allfred specifically, you are like marking things as done, like crossing out of your to-do list, which means you automatically track time. You even don't realize that you track time. So the biggest like idea how to get time tracking precise and right and less painful for creatives is making it interesting, and people even don't realize they do track time.
Okay, that sounds hard to do. All right, guys, very, very much thank you for joining me today in this podcast. It was a pleasure to be with you, and hopefully see you next time.
Thank you
Thank you
very
much.
Thank you.